What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jonathan with the Rideshare Panel, and today I am out here doing deliveries for Amazon Flex. I got this package here. I actually got a lot of packages. As you can see, the car is just loaded up with packages, and so I'm out here delivering, but I wanted to take a break to make a very important video because it's been almost 2 months since I started delivering with Amazon Flex. So I actually prepared a PowerPoint for you guys, and I want to go over everything from my earnings to my strategy, my expenses, and a couple tips and tricks for you guys. So stay tuned for this whole video because there's a lot in here on this PowerPoint, and I really break down everything that you need to know to deliver for Amazon Flex and to maximize your earnings. So this isn't one of those reviews where I go deep into my feelings about Amazon Flex because those don't really matter. What matters is how to make the most money, and Amazon Flex is a great way to do it. It's honestly my favorite ride-sharing app right now, which is why I'm spending so much time on this review. So let's go ahead and first look at, I'm going to pull up in the app my earnings over the last 2 months real quick just to show you guys, briefly how many of these I've been doing. I haven't been doing it full time, although some days are definitely full time with Amazon Flex for me. So my earnings could be a lot higher, but this is just me kind of scrolling through the list and showing you guys, all the different blocks that I've picked up. So let's go ahead and pull up this PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you guys, really just a very detailed breakdown of everything that's gone down in the last 2 months of delivering for Amazon Flex. All right, so the very first thing that I'm going to get into is the different type of blocks that you can pick up as an Amazon Flex driver. Now, there are about 5 different categories that I'm going to hit on, and the first is logistics. Now, those are just normal packages that you pick up from a distribution center, and you pick up a block. Usually it's between 2 and 4 hours, and then you deliver these packages to people's houses and people's businesses. The second type of block is a Prime Now block. You're delivering packages, but they are packages and grocery items that people want delivered within like the next 2 hours. So you got to hit those a little bit faster, and people do tip on these. The third type of block is restaurant blocks, and these are where you're going to restaurants and picking up orders for people, then delivering to their houses. They're usually between 1 to 4 hours, and you also get tipped on these as well. The fourth type of block is Amazon Fresh blocks. It's kind of similar to like a Prime Now, except you're delivering groceries only. And these are cool because you also get tipped pretty well on these, but once again, harder to pick up. The last type of block that you can pick up, and it's actually not a block, it's just an Amazon Flex instant offer. And this is kind of where you turn on the app and you get an instant offer to go pick up a meal from a restaurant. It's kind of like doing Grubhub or DoorDash, but it pays a lot better than those other apps. Let's start off by looking at what your mix of blocks should be as an Amazon Flex driver. So from the 5 different types of blocks, the blocks that you should be focusing on and kind of building off of are your Amazon Flex logistics blocks, and you should be picking these up more often simply because they're easier to pick up. They're easier to pick up because you're not getting tipped, so overall, yes, you are going to be earning less on these because of that lower ceiling, but the fact that you could get them more often, they're your bread and butter. Like, you're going to build off of these, and then you're going to try, once you've hit 1 or 2 of these on the day, then you're going to try and hit those other blocks that are a little bit more desirable. But I don't want you focusing on Prime Now, restaurants, and Fresh just because you can get higher earnings, because you don't want to waste a lot of time swiping. You want to just build off of a good solid base of logistics blocks. So the second option you have here are Prime Now, which I really do like. I just want to emphasize that you don't want to focus too much on them. You can get paid out really well on these Prime Now blocks. I had one on Sunday where its estimate was $80 to $100 for a 4-hour block, and I ended up making $150 on that block. So that just goes to show you, that almost doubled like the baseline estimate for that block. But because the payout's so good, these are really hard to get, so don't focus too much on these. And restaurants are a little bit easier to get. I definitely recommend doing these here and there, but they're not your bread and butter like your Amazon logistics blocks, because they're just not quite as common, and they're usually shorter periods of time. So if you're gonna go all the way to an area to start delivering, you might as well pick up a block that's gonna be like 4 hours long. So picking up these hour-long Amazon restaurant blocks really isn't gonna build substantial full-time income for you. And the last type of block that I'm gonna look at is the instant offers. You should always have instant offers on in between blocks, but you shouldn't really focus too much on them. They're not as common. I wish they were, because they pay really well. Like, Amazon Instant Offers, if I pick these up during dinner time, a lot of times they're advertising between $20 and $25 for me to pick up a single restaurant order for someone. Compare that to like DoorDash, where the baseline is $6.50, and if I'm lucky, I get like a $4 surge price. It's really good, but they're less common. So once again, you can't just sit around all day with your Amazon Instant Offers on, because you're not going to get that many of them. You absolutely want to have it on between blocks, but don't try and build off of this. All right, let's talk a little bit about scheduling and what time you're going to want to schedule your blocks in order to maximize your income. And as I just mentioned, the logistics blocks are the easiest to schedule, and so you should be scheduling these the most. And here's just like a little bit of personal beef that I have with the Amazon Flex system. The fact that they put out all the blocks for people to individually swipe on and kind of compete against each other really kind of bothers me, because it makes you feel like you have control over what blocks you're getting and how much you're going to make. And it kind of sidetracks a lot of people and gets them swiping all day trying to pick up these higher paying blocks. You guys need to be spending less time swiping and more time actually delivering stuff. So don't worry too much about, trying to swipe on these high priced blocks. Get them when you can, but get out there and be delivering, be doing some logistics blocks. Pick those up during the midday. Like, get your logistics blocks in early in the day and then another one midday. Midday is the best time to do logistics, and I'm talking like 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. because there's not a lot of other stuff going on. Like, you're not going to be making money doing other stuff in rideshare during those hours, and you're going to get kind of like a guaranteed 20 bucks an hour with Amazon Flex doing those. All right, Prime Now, obviously you want to get these whenever you can, but like I said before, don't waste too much time swiping on them. If you can, obviously do that instead of a logistics block, but just beware that it's not going to be easy to get them. Restaurants, scheduling wise, I personally do not suggest doing restaurants in a downtown area during the middle of the day. From my personal experience, people just don't like to tip very well getting their food delivered to them when they're at work for whatever reason. They're making money and they don't want to give that money away. Amazon is really good. Like, Amazon customers, in my personal experience, are very good at tipping. They tend to be like wealthier people, and they tip really well on stuff. But for whatever reason, these restaurant blocks just aren't tipping well when they're during the middle of the day into people's businesses. So try and avoid those. Instant offers, obviously schedule these a lot because they're very good, but don't try and feed off of it. Don't make this your main go-to thing. Just have instant offers on when you're not doing other blocks. All right, let's talk about the tips and tricks that you can use as a flex driver to maximize your earnings. The first tip that I'm going to give you guys is to organize your packages when you're doing a logistics blocks. Now, I have a separate video for that, so make sure that you check that out. It's on the Amazon Flex playlist, and it shows you how to organize packages so that you're much more efficient and that you finish your logistics blocks a lot faster. If you're well organized, logistics blocks, a lot of times you can finish them in 60% of the total time that's estimated. So instead of making 20 bucks an hour, now all of a sudden you're making closer to 30 bucks an hour, and it really makes sense to be doing a logistics block. If you're picking up a logistics block, you probably don't live right next to a warehouse. Most people don't, and so they got to drive a while to get to that distribution center. Use Lyft or Uber as a driver and try and use a destination filter if possible. See if you can get a ride up there, and that way you're not really counting that drive time as an expense against you. You're actually making money and coming up on that. All right, let's talk about price increases. So Amazon works, just like normal supply and demand and economics do. If they put out a block and no one swipes on it, the closer that you get to that time, the higher the price goes up. So should you wait for price increases? Absolutely, you should get paid more to do the same amount of work if that's possible. But your time is money here. So if you're waiting around an hour for a price increase and you're just waiting, then you just spent an hour of your time, which is worth $20 an hour, waiting for that price increase. All right, and so the next tip kind of goes along with that, and I've mentioned it before, but spend less time swiping. The fact that all of these offers are put up for bid and you can kind of swipe on them, it seems cool, but it ends up wasting a lot of time because you just sit around swiping trying to get those best blocks when you should be out there working. Your time is money here, so even if swiping on a block early and not getting that price increase means that you miss out on a few dollars, you're going to be spending time moving forward and less time sitting around. I've spent a lot of times in the day just sitting around waiting on these blocks, and honestly, it's just not a good way to live. It's not a good way to make money as an Amazon Flex driver. Stop feeling like you're in so much control of which blocks you're going to get, and just build off of the logistics blocks, build off your bread and butter, and then take the other ones when you can. And do a real quick look at expenses, and I'm going to tell you guys why this is one of my favorite things about Amazon Flex. Expenses are lower. You don't have riders trashing your car, and if you're doing a logistics block, a lot of times, not all the times, because you definitely get some bad blocks, but a lot of times you get deliveries that are very close together and kind of close to the distribution center. And in these cases, you're not putting much mileage on your car at all to make that money. So a lot of times people focus in the rideshare on-demand economy on top line revenue, like how much people are advertising to get paid per hour. but you're an independent contractor, so no one thinks about their expenses and how this comes into play. With Amazon Flex, I believe that your expenses are a lot lower. And so I did a video the other day about a double block that I picked up. I picked it up down in Georgetown, and my total miles driven, and I tracked this in QuickBooks, was 35 miles. I did 2 blocks, so I had a $76 block and a $66.50 block. I made $142.50 in that double block, and 35 miles, actually only 25 of it was attributed to that block. 10 of it I got to subtract because I took a Lyft destination ride on the way down there. And so 25 miles on my Mazda 3 is about 1 gallon. So that's $2.50 worth of gas expenses here in Seattle on that total block. That is really freaking good compared to a lot of rideshare, and one of the reasons why I like Amazon Flex so much. So the other type of blocks other than logistics do have slightly higher mileage expenses than logistics, but it's still good compared to a lot of other options. Like Amazon Instant Offers, for example, the reason why these are good is because there's no penalty to not swiping. So if you have Instant Offers on and something pops up and you don't take it, you're fine. There's no like surge bonus and you got to accept 80% or you don't qualify for that surge bonus, which ends up roping people in to, you know, accepting these long distance orders. With Amazon Flex Instant Offers, you can literally decline offers as much as you want. So if you get an offer that's 6 miles total, you don't have to take that. You can only accept the best offers that are low mileage, and it allows you to have a little bit more control, you know, over your expenses, which I really like. All right, let's take a brief look at the negatives of this business, and I didn't make a slide about it, but I just wanted to chime in on it because as much as I love Amazon Flex in comparison to a lot of other rideshare apps, it is a job, and so it's not perfect. There are negatives. There's stuff that's not cool about it that I don't like as much, but at the end of the day, I really love doing this, and that freedom and control over myself and my schedule is so important to me, so it's totally worth it. But as I make this video, I'm kind of on one of the worst blocks that I've had, so I'm gonna show you guys out the window where I'm at. As you can see, that's just an empty grass field. So I'm in Stanwood right now, and then my next drop is in Mount Vernon. You've probably never heard of either of these places. I barely knew about them, but I live in Seattle, so I drove 30 miles up to this distribution center to get started, and then I had another 35 miles to drop my packages. So I'm out here on a day trip with Amazon, basically. Like I'm out here. It's a full day thing just for me to do these packages. I haven't had a block that's been this far away from like civilization in a minute. It's definitely a con, but like, you know, you get bad things with all rideshare and all jobs and life. It's just how it goes sometimes. And my last beef, I'm gonna hit this real quick, not spend too much time on it, but it's just the way that blocks are distributed in the current system and the block frenzy that's going on. With Amazon Flex, the way it works is it's kind of like the Amazon River, and we're these little piranhas. And then, you know, Amazon will throw out these blocks. It's like a fresh chunk of meat. They'll throw them out there, and then we all like swim after them, and it's this huge frenzy of trying to get to the meat the fastest. You know, it's entertaining, I'm sure, but it's definitely not the most efficient for us drivers here. And you know, I get why it is the way that it is, because the current system works just fine for Amazon. Like all of their blocks get distributed, so why waste more time building out an app and spending more money on that in a more efficient fashion? It would be cool in the future to see a system where, you know, blocks within, let's say, like a 30-mile radius of where you're at are sent out, and then the drivers with the highest ratings would have the first chance to bid on those blocks. That'd be really cool, but you know, obviously I don't expect it, and the current system is what it is. It still works just fine. All right, so those are basically my 2 biggest beefs, and I had to put them out there because a lot of times I spend time making really positive videos about rideshare and telling you guys how much money you can make. But you got to be realistic and realize that there are some downsides. There are downsides to pretty much anything you do, so you know, don't worry too much about it. Just know that like stuff's going to come up when you're delivering packages where someone puts the wrong address on a package, or someone has like crazy instructions like, hey, you need to call me when you get here, and they don't answer their phone. And it's frustrating when people like do stupid stuff like that. But the one thing that you've got to remember is that you can't take this out on the customer, obviously, because Amazon's a customer-centric business, and don't take this out on support. You know, you kind of just got to like roll with it, and remember at the end of the day that you're probably making more money with Amazon Flex than other rideshare options, so don't do anything to jeopardize that. All right, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel down below. That way we can kick it and we can talk about, you know, maximizing your rideshare income, different Amazon Flex strategies, and tons of different side hustles that you're not going to get on other ridesharing channels. Make sure you do that down below and comment on your Amazon Flex experience. I'd love to hear about it, and I want to get a conversation going with you guys.